Sigma Man here again. Just going to take you through a few little things I did to my Carrera Plymouth to get it working like you saw it on the track. So I'll be holding the camera, and I'll try and keep it in focus as best I can. First thing to note is I've lowered it at the back, and if you look closely at the exhaust you can see I've ground some reliefs in the door to allow clearance for the exhaust. Taking the body off, we have a look inside the body. You can also see a little relief just where the raised section of the motor goes, and I ground out some clearance, more clearance for the motor. The lowering of it went down to the depth of the strengtheners on the posts. I don't take them any lower than that for this track, otherwise you've got to ground a lot more out of the interior, and that's a better look at the reliefs for the exhaust in the door. And nothing done to the front. So onto the chassis. Reverse polarity switch has been removed, just left the plug there. It's the original motor without the resistors. It's original back axle, but it's had the super glue trick done to take up the slack in the bearings. The little pink pinion you see is an 8-tooth pinion. I fitted that so as it would just get up into the torque a little bit quicker, as these are quite heavy cars and I found it to be quite slow to respond with standard gearing. Now down to the front, and on the front you can see a much lower profile front tyre. That's a little Ninko tyre I used that fit that rim, and that gets the guide much closer and deeper into the track, which is a must have with these cars I reckon, as they sit far too tall. The rear tyres are MJK tyres, urethane tyres made specifically for the Carrera stock cars. They drop straight on the rim, made right here in Adelaide, South Australia. Other tricks. Now you'll see all those blobs of blue tack. So I moved the magnets, and that's how I got this one to work in the end. So I took the magnet from the front of the motor, moved it up to as far as it would go forward, and there's actually two of them, one on top of the other. Now that doesn't add a whole lot of downforce to the car. It's barely noticeable, but it definitely has made a difference. And then that big blob of blue tack behind the axle there hides the magnet that was originally behind the motor. And that's probably the biggest difference in this car, and it works exceptionally well, as you saw on the track. I could not be happier with the way this car drives. One other little trick that makes a difference is the red guides on these cars that you use in the Scale Electric Sport, Ninko and Ninko tracks. They work well, but if you just trim the end off like that, just give it a taper or just round the end off, it just runs through just that little bit smoother, works much nicer and makes for a much cleaner running car. The only other thing I've done is I also leave just the body screws just a little bit loose, just to give it a bit of rock, just to get it to slide more. And that is it. Feel free to ask questions. I only got this going today and I drive it all the time. It's probably now my favourite car to drive on my track. It works a treat. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.